The night sky above Ridgewell gleamed with more stars than usual, the Milky Way sprawling like a celestial river. Ellie Cartwright, a witty and skeptical astrophysicist, sat on the hood of her old Jeep, peering through her battered telescope. She had spent the better part of her career chasing signals from deep space. Tonight was supposed to be uneventful, just another session of cataloging faint whispers from the cosmos. But then, something unusual happened. The static hum in Ellie's receiver transformed into a clear, rhythmic pulse. It was not random, it was a pattern. She froze, her fingers trembling over the dials. She leaned closer, trying to decode the sequence. It was binary, unmistakably artificial, and structured like a greeting. "What the hell?" she whispered, scribbling notes in her tattered journal. At the same moment, halfway across town, Ethan Ford, a former soldier-turned-mechanic, wrestled with a stubborn carburetor in his dimly lit garage. His radio, perpetually tuned to a classic rock station, crackled to life with the same rhythmic pulse Ellie had heard. Ethan stared at the radio, muttering, "Great, even my music's broken now." As if on cue, the garage lights flickered. Ethan felt the hairs on his neck stand on end. By morning, Ridgewell was buzzing with reports of strange phenomena, flickering lights, odd radio signals, and most bizarrely, several eyewitness accounts of glowing orbs hovering in the sky. Ellie wasted no time. She bolted into town, her journal clutched to her chest. She found Ethan at the local diner, glaring at his coffee as if it had personally offended him. "You've got to see this," Ellie blurted, sliding into the booth across from him. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Morning to you too, document. What's got you all fired up?" Ellie shoved her journal across the table. "We're being contacted. Look at the sequence. This is not natural. It's deliberate." Ethan scanned the scribbled notes and graphs, his expression shifting from skepticism to mild alarm. "And you're sure it's not?" "I don't know, weather balloons or some prank? I'm an astrophysicist, not a conspiracy theorist," Ellie snapped. "This is real. Something, or someone, is trying to communicate with us." Before Ethan could respond, the diner's television flickered to a breaking news broadcast. A grainy video showed a massive, metallic object descending into Earth's atmosphere, trailing streaks of fire. The anchor's voice trembled as they described what experts were calling a controlled entry. "Holy," Ethan muttered. The object landed in the outskirts of Ridgewell, its arrival marked by a deafening shockwave that shattered windows and sent birds scattering into the sky. By the time Ellie and Ethan reached the site, the military had cordoned off the area. Through the chain-link fence, they glimpsed the craft, an enormous, gleaming monolith covered in strange glyphs that pulsed with an eerie blue light. "This is not a prank," Ethan murmured, his voice tinged with awe. Ellie was already snapping pictures, her mind racing. "This changes everything. If they came here peacefully, we have to figure out what they want." The military's attempts to communicate with the visitors yielded no results. Days passed, and tension mounted. The craft remained silent, a looming enigma. But Ellie, undeterred, began working on a translation matrix, obsessively decoding the glyphs based on the binary patterns she'd intercepted. Meanwhile, Ethan, ever the pragmatist, prepared for the worst. He fortified his garage, stockpiled supplies, and reluctantly let Ellie set up her makeshift lab in his workspace. "What if they're not here to talk?" Ethan asked one night, as he cleaned his rifle. "Then we'll need more than bullets," Ellie replied, not looking up from her laptop. Their uneasy partnership was tested further when the aliens finally emerged. The beings were unlike anything humanity had imagined. Tall, shimmering forms composed of a semi-liquid substance that refracted light like a living prism. They didn't speak, but instead projected images and emotions directly into the minds of those nearby. The message was clear: they were here to assist. But something about the word resonated uneasily in Ellie's mind. As she delved deeper into the glyphs, she discovered a troubling phrase repeated throughout their messages. "Loyal compliance essential." "What does loyal mean?" Ethan asked, his brows furrowed. Ellie shook her head. "I don't know, but it doesn't sound like an invitation to a picnic." Their questions were answered in the most chilling way possible. One night, while Ellie worked late and Ethan dozed on a cot nearby, the power in the garage failed. An unnatural chill filled the air. Ellie's laptop screen flickered to life, displaying an alien glyph she hadn't yet decoded. Then came the voice, an unsettling, mechanical tone that resonated in their skulls rather than their ears. Loyal compliance required. Resistance will not be tolerated. The lights flickered back on, and Ellie turned to Ethan, her face pale. We've been interpreting this all wrong, she whispered. They're not asking for help or offering it. They're demanding obedience. As the reality sank in, the stakes became clear. These beings were not saviors, they were conquerors. And their methods were insidious, using advanced technology to subtly manipulate Earth's environment and its people. Ellie and Ethan realized they had to act, but first, they needed to rally others who had not yet succumbed to the alien influence. The fight for humanity's independence had begun. The eerie silence that followed the alien warning didn't last long. Ridgewell, a town that had barely made it to the evening news before, was now ground zero for humanity's greatest existential crisis. Media vans lined the outskirts, their antennas pointed like spears toward the massive alien craft. Scientists, military personnel, and conspiracy theorists flooded the area, turning the once quiet town into a chaotic hub of speculation and tension. Amid the turmoil, Ellie Cartwright and Ethan Ford worked in the shadows, determined to uncover the truth behind loyal compliance. Ellie had barricaded herself in Ethan's garage, now functioning as an impromptu laboratory. Her workstation was cluttered with laptops, notebooks, and a dizzying array of equipment scavenged from local tech stores. Ethan, ever practical, had fortified the building with metal plating and reinforced doors. Any luck cracking the glyphs? Ethan asked, leaning against the workbench and watching Ellie type furiously. Ellie pushed her glasses up her nose, her face illuminated by the glow of her screen. I've made progress. The glyphs aren't just symbols. They're a combination of mathematical principles and neurolinguistic programming. They're designed to manipulate perception. Ethan frowned. Manipulate? Like brainwashing? Ellie nodded grimly. Exactly. The more you're exposed to them, the more you're likely to comply with the aliens' demands without even realizing it. That explains the weird behavior in town, Ethan muttered. Over the past few days, they had noticed strange changes in their neighbors. People who once questioned the aliens' presence now spoke in reverent tones, their eyes glassy with a serene detachment. They're priming us, Ellie said. Conditioning humanity to obey. Ethan slammed his fist on the table, making Ellie jump. We've got to stop this. But how? I'm working on it, Ellie replied, turning back to her screen. The key lies in deciphering their neural interface. If I can reverse engineer it, we might be able to disrupt their control. As the duo worked late into the night, there was a knock at the garage door. Ethan grabbed his shotgun and gestured for Ellie to stay back. He approached cautiously, peering through the peephole. Who's there? He demanded. It's Dr. Raj Patel, came the muffled reply. I'm here to help. Ethan hesitated, then opened the door a crack. Outside stood a middle-aged man with a disheveled appearance, clutching a backpack filled with equipment. How'd you find us? Ethan asked suspiciously. Ellie's reputation precedes her, Raj said with a nervous smile. I've been following her work on the alien signals. I managed to track the source of her latest transmission. Please let me in before someone sees me. Reluctantly, Ethan allowed Raj inside. Ellie's eyes widened when she saw him. Dr. Patel? You're the linguistics expert from the Mars Terraforming Project. Raj nodded. And you're the astrophysicist who debunked the Arcturus beacon hoax. We don't have time for formalities. I've been analyzing the alien glyphs too, and I think I can help. He opened his backpack, revealing a portable device with glowing circuits. This disruptor emits counter frequencies to their neural signals. It's untested, but it might give us an edge. Ellie examined the device with awe. This could work. If we amplify its range, we might be able to wake up the affected townspeople. Their plan was simple but risky, test the disruptor on a small group of people in town to see if it could break the aliens' influence. They targeted a grocery store where several individuals had been reported acting strangely. Ethan parked his truck a block away while Ellie and Raj set up the disruptor. The device emitted a low hum as it powered up. "Are you sure this won't fry their brains?" Ethan asked. Raj gave a shaky laugh. "Reasonably sure." Ellie flipped the switch, and the disruptor pulsed with a blue light. Inside the store, the affected individuals froze, their eyes darting around in confusion. What's happening?" one woman stammered, dropping her basket of groceries. "It's working," Ellie whispered. Suddenly, a loud, mechanical roar shattered the moment. The group turned to see a squad of alien drones emerging from the shadows, their sleek bodies glinting under the streetlights. "Time to go!" Ethan shouted, pulling Ellie and Raj toward the truck. Back at the garage, the trio caught their breath. "They're monitoring us," Raj said, his voice shaky. "Every time we disrupt their control, they send reinforcements. We'll have to be smarter," Ethan said. "Hit them where it hurts." Ellie pulled up a map on her laptop. The glyphs reference a central hub, a core structure controlling their neural network. "If we can take it down, we might free everyone." Raj frowned. "That's a big if. We don't even know where it is." Ellie zoomed in on a section of the map. "Actually, we do. It's here, near the landing site." The next step was assembling a resistance. Ethan reached out to his old military contacts, while Ellie and Raj discreetly recruited locals who had shaken off the alien influence. The group gathered in an abandoned warehouse, where they devised a plan to infiltrate the alien hub. "We'll need a diversion," Ethan said, pointing to the map. "Something big enough to draw the drones away from the hub. I can rig the disruptor to overload," Raj offered. "It'll create a massive pulse, but it'll fry the device." Ellie hesitated. "Are you sure? We might need it later." Raj nodded. "This is our best chance. Besides, we'll have you to guide us." Under the cover of darkness, the resistance moved toward the hub. The structure loomed like a jagged mountain, its surface pulsating with an otherworldly light. Raj set up the disruptor near a decoy location, while Ethan led a small team to secure the perimeter. Ellie stayed with Raj, monitoring the signal patterns. As the disruptor activated, the ground trembled. Alien drones swarmed toward the decoy, leaving the hub vulnerable. "Now's our chance," Ethan radioed. "Move in!" Ellie and the rest of the team infiltrated the hub, navigating its labyrinthine interior. The air was thick with a metallic tang, and the walls seemed to hum with energy. At the center of the structure, they found a massive console covered in glyphs. Ellie quickly got to work, her fingers flying over the interface. "I'm rerouting their neural network," she said. "Give me a minute." The hub suddenly shuddered, and a deep, resonant voice filled the chamber. "Loitel compliance, critical. We've been detected," Raj warned. "Almost there," Ellie muttered, sweat dripping down her face. Just as the drones began to return, Ellie finished the override. The console emitted a blinding light, and the hum of the structure faltered. Across Ridgewell, people snapped out of their trances, their minds free from the aliens' control. "We did it!" Raj exclaimed. Ethan wasn't so sure. "Let's get out of here before they regroup." As the team retreated, the hub began to collapse, its energy dissipating like a dying star. But Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The aliens were far from defeated, and their message, Loitel compliance, still loomed like a dark cloud over humanity. The fight was far from over. The collapse of the alien hub sent ripples of defiance across Ridgewell, but the victory was short-lived. The aliens, no longer content with subtlety, shifted their tactics to direct aggression. The once peaceful skies above the town were now swarming with alien vessels, their metallic forms blotting out the stars. Humanity's rebellion had begun in earnest, and the cost of resistance was mounting rapidly. The resistance, now fortified by freed townspeople and a network of defectors from surrounding areas, regrouped at an old military bunker hidden deep in the nearby forest. The bunker was a relic of past wars, its rusting exterior a stark reminder of humanity's enduring capacity for conflict. Inside, it buzzed with renewed purpose. Ellie, Ethan, and Raj took center stage in the makeshift command room. A large holographic map of the region hovered above the table, pulsating with red markers that signified enemy forces. Every major city within a 500-mile radius has reported sightings of alien forces, Ellie said, gesturing at the glowing map. The hub's destruction hurt them, but it didn't stop them. If anything, it's made them angrier. Ethan folded his arms, his face grim. Angry aliens aren't our biggest problem. We need to figure out their endgame. What's the purpose of this loyal compliance? Why does it matter so much to them? Raj adjusted his glasses, his voice hesitant but resolute. From what we've decoded so far, loyal compliance isn't just about control. It's a symbiotic exchange. They feed off collective human submission. It powers their technology, possibly even their biology. Ellie frowned. So, by resisting, we're starving them? Raj nodded. In a sense, yes. But resistance also forces them to accelerate their plans. They're preparing for something massive. As the conversation unfolded, a scout burst into the room, his face pale with fear. They've deployed a new weapon, a massive construct in the sky. It's unlike anything we've seen. The resistance leaders rushed outside. Through the canopy of trees, a colossal alien structure hung in the atmosphere. It shimmered with an unnatural light, its surface covered in pulsing glyphs. Ellie's stomach churned. That's no weapon. It's a harvesting machine. If it activates, it'll forcibly extract loyal compliance from everyone within range. Ethan clenched his fists. How do we stop it? Raj hesitated. We don't have the firepower to destroy it outright. But if we can infiltrate it, we might be able to overload its core. Ethan shook his head. Too risky. They'll see us coming a mile away. Not if we cloak our approach. Ellie interjected. The disruptor tech can be modified to create a temporary shield, masking us from their sensors. Raj's eyes lit up. That could work, but it would require significant energy, more than we have here. Ellie looked at Ethan. Then we take it from them. The resistance targeted a nearby alien outpost where a massive energy generator powered the occupying forces. The mission was simple in theory: disable the guards, steal the power core, and retreat before reinforcements arrived. In practice, it was a logistical nightmare. Ethan led the strike team, a mix of ex-military personnel and courageous volunteers. Ellie and Raj stayed back, coordinating the attack remotely. The approach was nerve-wracking, with the team sneaking through dense underbrush to avoid detection. The outpost loomed ahead, a towering spire of alien design surrounded by a shimmering force field. Stay low, Ethan whispered, signaling for the group to split up. 2 resistance members, equipped with makeshift EMP grenades, moved to disable the force field. The devices emitted a high-pitched whine before detonating, creating a momentary gap in the barrier. Ethan and the others stormed in, their weapons blazing. Alien guards, tall and insectoid, responded with precision, their energy weapons lighting up the night. The resistance fought fiercely, their desperation lending them strength. Ethan's team reached the generator, a pulsating orb of energy encased in a crystalline shell. Cover me! Ethan shouted as he planted explosives to dislodge the core. The fight intensified as more guards swarmed the area. Just as it seemed they might be overwhelmed, the explosives detonated, and the core fell free. Grab it and go! Ethan yelled, hauling the core onto a makeshift sled. The team retreated under heavy fire, leaving the outpost in chaos. Back at the bunker, Ellie and Raj worked tirelessly to integrate the stolen core into the disruptor. The device hummed with newfound power, its blue light casting eerie shadows on the walls. We've only got one shot at this, Raj warned. If the disruptor fails, we'll have no way to reach the harvester. Ethan tightened his gear. Then it won't fail. The resistance mobilized for the final assault. Using modified vehicles and personal cloaking devices, they approached the harvester under the cover of darkness. The structure loomed larger than life, its glyph-covered surface pulsating rhythmically. Small drones buzzed around it like fireflies, scanning for intruders. Ellie activated the disruptor, and a shimmering bubble enveloped the team, rendering them invisible to the drones. They moved swiftly, scaling the harvester's exterior using magnetic grapples. Inside, the air was thick and oppressive, the walls alive with flowing energy. The team split into groups, each assigned to plant explosives at critical points. Ellie, Ethan, and Raj headed for the core, navigating a maze of alien technology. "This place is like a living organism," Raj murmured, his voice tinged with awe. "It's alive, all right," Ethan muttered. "And we're about to give it a heart attack." As they reached the core chamber, the harvester seemed to sense their presence. The walls vibrated, and a deafening roar filled the air. "We've been detected," Ellie said, her voice taut with fear. The core was a massive sphere, its surface swirling with energy. Ellie set to work, connecting the disruptor to the core's interface. "Hold them off!" she shouted as alien drones poured into the chamber. Ethan and Raj fought valiantly, their weapons barely keeping the relentless attackers at bay. "Hurry up, Ellie!" Ethan yelled, his back against the wall. "I'm almost there," she replied, her fingers flying over the console. The disruptor pulsed, and the core flickered. The entire structure shuddered, its lights dimming. "It's working!" Raj exclaimed. Suddenly, a massive alien figure emerged, its form towering and menacing. It spoke in a guttural voice, its words resonating in their minds. "Defiance will not be tolerated." Ethan stepped forward, his jaws set. "You're going to have to tolerate it." He opened fire, the resistance rallying behind him. The battle was fierce, every second a fight for survival. Ellie completed the override, and the disruptor emitted a blinding burst of energy. The harvester's core destabilized, its energy spiraling out of control. "Time to go!" Ethan shouted. The team retreated as the harvester began to collapse, its alien technology disintegrating. Outside, the resistance watched in awe as the massive structure crumbled, its energy dissipating into the night sky. Cheers erupted, but Ellie's expression remained somber. "This isn't the end," she said quietly. "They'll be back." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we'll be ready." The resistance had won the battle, but the war for humanity's survival was far from over.